Yeah, she's
like you weren't 10 and
months
she
younger.
was like 6, right?
No.
That's not the okay.
No, her birthday's in October, mine's in August.
Right. Just checking, just making sure.
Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood together. I mean, had same group of friends. We went to the same school, apparently. I didn't know her for most of my younger years, but eventually it just became something, and it's everlasting, and it's going well.
You know what's really interesting about the fact that you and Monique have been seeing each other for that long is that so her older brother Nick and I were roommates 10 years ago, and Jeffrey and I and Nick were all really good friends. Like, you probably know Micah Cassay or have known of
We
him.
ran into him one day on the street, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. How did I not know you until recently? Like, have we actually interacted back in the day and we just don't remember, or what?
I don't, the thing is, I never really met Monique's brothers until later on in life. I mean, Jeffrey lives with my brother, Eric.
In L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've lived together for, I think, like 5 years now.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't
And
know
I've
that.
maybe met Jeffrey like 3 times.
Weird.
And
Really?
Nick, I'd never even knew, like, she had 2 brothers.
Huh.
So it was a long time until he moved back from L.A. And
Okay.
Eric and him hung out a lot when they were younger. So, yeah, I never really hung out around her
Okay,
household, though.
So hold on. You've been in a relationship with this person since you were 10 years old. You have a brother named Eric. Are you Corey and Topanga? Like, do you have a best friend named Sean Hunter?
What show is that from?
Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Nope.
Jesus, that's almost like, did you have the same teacher every year in school while you were?
No.
But it's a definite boy meets girl kind of scenario. I mean, that's a long time to be
It is.
with somebody. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the longest relationship that I've ever had was like maybe 4 years. And I mean, how do you make a relationship work for that fucking long?
Patience.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and at first I imagine you probably gave her a couple of Transformers. Like, this is my favorite one. You can play with Bumblebee, and I'll, just, I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't. 15 years and you're 25. I just don't understand how that would even work. Like, you're such a different person when you're 10 years old.
I don't think I changed, though.
I don't know.
That's weird. I guess they say when you know, you know. I mean,
Well, hey, more power to you, man.
thanks.
Yeah, I've never known anything for that long.
No.
No.
The longest relationship I've ever had was with professional wrestling, and that's
It's ongoing.
every Monday night, baby.
Yeah.
Like, the one constant in my life.
Do you think that you and her will ever get married?
Yeah, we're focusing on, the important things first, like getting a house.
Don't.
Focusing on our careers. So we're getting closer. I mean, yeah, ideally, I'm not going to jump into marriage, after seeing someone for a year. A lot of people do that. There's some great tax benefits and things like that, but I mean, you shouldn't have your one motive be, their dream life.
Don't get married.
And your tax benefits and your beautiful house and all that. Like, I mean, we're going to have our beautiful home. We already have our 2 beautiful dogs. That's our family. We don't plan on having kids.
Good.
Yeah.
Don't.
Most people get married because they have kids. I mean,
Let Eric tell you about marriage.
Don't get married.
Tell him.
It's unnecessary.
Tell 'em all about it.
It's an outdated institution. It doesn't make any sense in this day and age anymore. Like, I'm not saying break up with her. You can, live with her. Do it like Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn aren't married and they've been together for 40 years.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't need, for me personally, you don't need a piece of paper to you get the government involved in your relationship. I don't know. I'm divorced, so maybe I'm a little biased towards the idea of marriage. Like, I'm never going to do it again.
No, I don't disagree. That's what I've told her. I've got that question a lot. Are you guys going to get married? We're basically married.
Yeah.
Shit. What's the marriage? The piece of paper from the courthouse? And
Exactly.
the tax benefits? I mean, in the wedding, I get that.
And I think you could still file your taxes jointly, even if you're not married. I think if you're living together, it's like a common law thing, right? I don't know.
think that's 7 years common law. Is that still a thing?
I think that it still is, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've got, I think,
I'm going to pull up.
probably 1 or 2 years then.
From the point of being.
Yeah, moving in
Of age.
together on one lease.
Yeah,
you
I
guys
think-
have lived in the same house for.
We've actually moved like 3 to 4 times in the
okay.
past 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Crazy.
That's still not terrible, dude. I've moved.
Okay, boom. In most cases, the IRS requires couples to be legally married to file a joint tax return. However, the IRS also allows couples who aren't legally married but are considered married by common law to also file jointly. So you don't have to get married.
So go ahead and find out about common law. How long is that?
Good thing I haven't filed my taxes yet.
Yeah.
Common law.
And she's esthetician?
Yes. Monique does lashes and microblading. And for anyone that doesn't know, microblading is like if you, let's just say eyebrows basically form your face. If you're missing hair strokes or you're tired of doing your eyebrows in the morning, it's basically just micro little needle hairline into your eyebrow to form it, kind of shapes it a little better.
So it's like cutting
It's
hair
like tattoo.
off?
No, like it's like little hairline strokes that just look just like hair.
Huh.
It's like tattooing almost.
Weird.
Yeah. That and eyelash extensions.
Okay.
And then she's forever growing. She's actually looking to do facials, more than that.
Huh.
So.
That's awesome. So I had asked you at some point about meditation, and you said not in the traditional sense.
Right.
What do you mean when you say that?
I mean, in my mind, it's like,
Yeah, okay.
peacefulness. I mean, everyone has their own way of meditating. Like, I could listen to music, calm music.
Mm.
You're in your own head. You're in your own thoughts.
So what do you...
That way it's kind of meditating.
Is that your idea of what meditation is?
To me, yeah.
Okay.
Or even just quietness, being out in nature. No sounds. Nothing.
I've heard several different descriptions of meditating, and one of them that I really like is that, like, a lot of times people get meditation confused with this idea of emptying your mind so that your mind isn't in control or something to that effect. So you're just empty. And then there's the other idea that I like a lot is that you're not necessarily emptying your mind, but observing what's there currently so that your mind is in control over the rest of your body. I don't know if that makes any sense out loud, but I mean, there's mindfulness meditation too, and you talking about being in nature reminds me of mindfulness meditation, because like you're in the present moment, like, and enjoying and like seeing, smelling, hearing all of those things that are around you, like being the quiet observer. If you were to see a squirrel like in nature or a chipmunk or whatever, you wouldn't say to that squirrel, "Get the fuck out, I'm watching the tree." Right. You know, like, and so if you can be present like that with your own thoughts, when a thought comes, sometimes people want to like push it away because they're trying to empty their mind, but that's like trying to tell the chipmunk to fuck off because you're watching the tree, you know?
Right.
And so, I don't know, that was a random thought that just came to my mind right now.
I mean,
what? Good.
I was just gonna say that was really actually very good. I think that's a great way to describe it.
Nice.
Yeah, I really do.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Common law.
So, common law marriages. Now, I will say it with this disclaimer. I looked this up on Wikipedia, and there are notes that says the article needs additional citations for verification, and the factual accuracy is disputed in this article. But what this says is that common law marriage differs from statutory marriage as follows. There is no marriage license issued by a government and no marriage certificate filed with a government. There is no formal ceremony to solemnize the marriage before witnesses. The parties must hold themselves out to the world as spouses. This is not a requirement of statutory marriage. So essentially, you just have to introduce her as, "This is my wife," as what I gather from that. And then most jurisdictions require the parties to be cohabitating at the time the common law marriage is formed. Some require cohabitation to last a certain length of time, for example, 3 years, for the marriage to be valid. But cohabitation alone does not create a marriage. The parties must intend their relationship to be, and to be regarded as, a legally valid marriage.
Huh.
I think part of that is also if you guys move into a place and you're using the same address with the same last name, that ties right into that.
Boom.
Making it legal.
So there you go.
What do you mean about the same last name?
Well, if you move in with someone, I don't even know that it has the last name that may be completely inaccurate, but if you're moving into the same place and using the same address and doing everything together, then that just ties in with what he was getting at. If that makes any sense.
So that's like a
common law
precursor kind of thing?
Right, as common law.
I gotcha. So, Eric.
Yes, Dwayne.
I asked Aaron, I'm going to ask you. what's some advice that you would, and don't say don't get married. What's some advice that you would give yourself 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I absolutely would say don't get married so quickly. It was very rushed, and it was a bad idea. And I wouldn't do that. I would I would start. Let's see, 10 years ago. Yeah, that would be the one big thing I would tell myself, and I would probably say, try to start saving money now. Try to get those habits going now, because it's going to be a lot harder as you get older to develop those kinds of things. But the main thing I would tell myself is absolutely do not get married. I mean, granted, I got my son out of the relationship, but I could honestly do without all the other headaches that come along with it. So that would be my advice to my younger self, would be don't do it, bro. Don't do it. And I would probably tell myself to invest in TikTok or Bitcoin. Facebook or some shit like that.
Dude,
I'd give myself investment advice for like Tesla. I would, whatever it is that is, yeah, that's what I would do.
I like it. I like it a lot.
What about you? What would you tell your 10 years ago self?
It's quite the conundrum, I feel like, because I'm super happy with the person that I am right now, and everything that I've experienced up to this point has made me who I am. And so the logical part of my mind wants to be like, don't get addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
When your mom and dad said the 5 people that you spend the most time with is the average of what you are, I would have wanted to understand that more intellectually, instead of it being some rebellious thing that I was going against my parents' wishes over.
Okay.
Back to relationships, there's a couple of relationships that I would have wanted to warn myself against.
Mm-hmm.
That one, the stripper, the meth addict.
Right. Now, were they the same person?
Well, they were both meth addicts, but not the same people.
Gotcha.
I didn't know that the stripper was a meth addict at the time.
Ah, okay.
I didn't even realize that drugs were even a variable.
Right.
Until hindsight. Because at that time, I was really a really big weed smoker, pothead to the core at that point. And I drank quite a bit too. But I hadn't gotten crazy into the opiates at that point. And so, yeah, like I said though, giving myself advice 10 years ago, there's a part of me that also, from a logical point of view, wants to say I wouldn't have probably listened anyways.
That's fair.
Because I'm still that way, where I'm you can give me advice if you want, but I'd prefer it weren't advice if you suggested certain things that might work better for you.
Although,
I'm more
you say that, but at the same time, just think about first overcoming the initial shock of seeing your older self in front of you. First of all, you'd be like, I'd be like, holy shit, that's me when I'm almost 40. I need to make some fucking changes. That's what I would say to myself if I came back and I was like, hey man, I got some news for you. I'd be like, okay, this is obviously something I need to hear, because this technology doesn't even exist right now, and yet here I am in front of me telling me to avoid something. I feel like that's advice I would take, as opposed to coming from somebody else, a parent or a friend or whatever. If it's me telling myself after the initial shock of what I'm looking at wears off, I feel like I'd probably take my advice.
I don't know if I agree. Because, you're all ooh, time travel's real. And you're
yeah.
You love the Marvel and the DC and all the superhero shit, so you can wrap your head around that being a possibility.
I can. And it would be dope.
Yeah, but I
would love to go back and give myself advice.
If I saw myself from 10 years in the future in front of me right now, I'd be like, who dropped me acid? Or who fucking who's dosing my water? You know what I mean? my mind wouldn't go to this is actually a thing that I should listen to right now.
All right.